Hello and welcome back to E.T.C. Explaining the Collection. And today we're going to be looking at Noble 3, aka June from Halo Reach. Now, I'm going to come out of the gate with this one and just say that this to me is the worst figure of this wave. Not like molding or paint wise, but because it has a bunch of extra issues that I feel like, yeah, they just drag this figure down in comparison to some of the others. Number one would be that his joints on the legs are very like gummy. Like as you can see, like they're very gummy. And I would assume they did that so that he can like crouch. As you can see here, I have him in a crouching little sniping pose that he has. And so I would assume that's why they did that, but it just makes standing him up straight very difficult. Like he has a very hard time standing up. Him and Kat, I would say, are the two that have the hardest time standing, but especially June, honestly, which sucks. Outside of that, the other thing with him that I would say is limited a lot in comparison is his head articulation. Because of course June has this schmog little cloak or whatever you want to call it, and that definitely hinders his articulation when trying to rotate, move his head, put it up and put it down. The last thing that I would say that honestly, this one isn't as important or as big of a deal as those other two, but that is that he's missing his like console. Like June has a little console right here, and it's just not here. They just didn't mold it for some reason. Like Carter, they molded his in, and all of the other characters that have like special like gauntlets, they all have their gauntlets except for June for some reason, which they knew. It's not like it's just something that they forgot about, as that little orange dot there, I assume is them trying to make up for it. But he did have a gauntlet or like a little tech computer or something right there that they did not give him. Which, to be fair, this figure does have a lot going on. And so I could probably see why they would forget that or just choose not to add that. But still, yeah, those things to me make this probably the most underwhelming. And like I said, it's nothing to do with the molding. Like molding, they did an amazing job. Outside of forgetting that one, well, not even forgetting, but not adding that one thing, this figure looks awesome. And then paint wise, originally the paint, like I said with Cat, well, I don't know if I said it with Cat, but I said it with Carter, is that these figures just look very clean when you get them out of the box. Like they just look very pristine. And so paint wise, they look good or passable, but they just look very clean. I'll likely add like a reference image of what he looked like before so you can see the difference in just how much my paint like roughed him up in a good way, but still. Outside of that, another little minor thing I would say is that the visor, it is actually the right shade of orange, maybe a shade or two lighter, but it is the right shade of orange. In person, especially when you're looking at this figure head on or under some light, it might not look like the right shade of orange, but it actually is the correct shade of orange for his visor. It just is a lighting thing that makes it look off. But yeah, now that's out of the way. Let's get to everything I did to this figure. Firstly, much like with Cat, Carter, and the rest of them, it's a beating, repeating drum. I just blackwashed his complete armor. After that was fine tuning. For June, I didn't really have to add as much as I did with some of the other ones. It was really just adding a little minor things such as the yellow on the boots, those little triangles you see on the thighs, and then those triangles up there. It was just some other little minor paint applications here and there. I didn't really do a lot to June, like detailing wise. I think that June looked pretty decent as is. Everything else would just be essentially like nitpicky type of paint applications for him. And then, of course, lastly, with June, I did his dry brushing, the complete silver dry brushing. And with June, I think that it turned out really well. Excuse me. It turned out really well on him. Yeah, I definitely want to get the re-release of June though, because I did see that they did update. They updated all of them, but I did see that they did make his joints on his legs a bit more tighter so that they were more firm instead of gummy. And that is something that I definitely want because I do love this figure. I like June. He's a cool character and his armor set is one of the coolest out of Noble Team. But I feel like those things just kind of they just drag this figure down for me because it just makes him not as fun to pose as he should be, or as much as I feel like he should. And of course, he comes with the unmasked head sculpt or unhelmeted head sculpt, which is just ball June. I didn't really touch up this head sculpt too much. Yeah, that's June. I also didn't mention this, but of course, he and the rest of them also come with alternate hands. I forgot to mention that, but they do come with alternate hands. So the hands that you see me have them equipped with for all of them are not their only sets of hands. They typically have like open hands, or like some of them might have pointing hands, some of them might have trigger hands, some of them might have closed fist, but they tend to have different sets of hands. And with June, much like Carter, the knife that you see there is removable. So if you want to have June in like a knife like wielding pose, you can have him with that if that's what you want. And yeah, that is it for this video. These Halo videos will be pretty short, considering that for like the bulk of them, it's the same story. Just I blackwashed, added little minor detailing, and then I went over them with a silver dry brush to lock everything in. But yeah, I do still hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.